Welcome back to our channel. Don't forget to like the video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to stay updated with our latest stories. The day she left, the coffee was cold. I remember because I'd poured 2 mugs out of habit, cream in hers, black in mine, before realizing she wasn't sitting at the kitchen table anymore. Her chair sat empty, sunlight slicing through the blinds onto the spot where her purse used to dangle. The house smelled like lemon polish and unresolved arguments. "You're too old now, Jack," she'd said the night before, her voice calm, like she was reciting a grocery list. "Too old for this." She waved a hand between us, the diamond on her wedding band catching the lamplight. 40 years, and that's how she framed it, this. Flick of the wrist. A shrug. I didn't fight her. Not because I agreed, but because the fight had been leaching out of me for years, drip by drip, like a rusty pipe. Retirement, knee surgeries, grandkids moving states away. Life had sanded me down to something smooth and predictable. Helen wanted, well, hell if I knew. Cruise? Condo in Miami? A man who still had hair the color of charcoal instead of this salt and pepper tumbleweed? The door clicked shut behind her at 10 a.m. sharp. No goodbye kiss. No tears. Just the hollow thud of her suitcase wheels on the porch steps. The first week alone, I talked to the walls. "Helen, pass the remote." "Helen, the hydrangeas are blooming." "Helen, what's that damn password for the Wi-Fi?" Silence. Always silence. I wandered rooms like a ghost haunting his own life. Our wedding photo, 1978, her in a lace sleeve dress, me in a powder blue tux, still hung crooked in the hallway. I never straightened it. Maybe I liked the imperfection. Now the tilt felt accusatory. "You had decades to fix me," it hissed. Then, on day 8, the garage saved me. I got out to toss old National Geographic magazines. Helen hated clutter. When I tripped over a warped cardboard box. Inside, under mothball-scented sweaters, lay my old Fender Stratocaster. Sunburst finish. Scratches on the pickguard from when I'd played frat parties in college. The neck felt familiar as a handshake. I hadn't touched a guitar since Reagan was president. That night, I sat on the back porch, strings biting into calluses long gone, and played House of the Rising Sun like my 20-year-old self taught me. Missed chords, flubbed lyrics. But for the first time in years, my lungs felt full. Mrs. Garza next door leaned over the fence, her gray braids swinging. "Didn't know you were a musician, Jack." "I'm not," I grunted. "Not anymore." She wiped garden dirt on her apron. "Sounds like you still are to me." Her words stuck like burrs. 2 weeks later, the flyer appeared at the library. Open mic night, all ages welcome. Thursdays, 7 p.m. * coffee and courage provided. I stared at that last line. Courage provided. As if it came in creamer packets. The kid at the sign-up table couldn't have been older than 22. Nose ring. Sleeve tattoos. He eyed my flannel shirt and orthotic sneakers. Name. Jack. Stage name. I almost walked out. Then I heard Helen's voice, too old. "Just Jack," I said. That first performance was a train wreck. My hand shook so bad I dropped my pick twice. The amp buzzed like an angry hornet. Halfway through knocking on heaven's door, I blanked on the second verse. But when I looked up, the room wasn't laughing. A dozen faces, college kids, middle-aged moms, old-timers nursing lattes, nodded along. Mrs. Garza clapped loudest, her gold bangles clacking. Afterward, the tattooed kid handed me a styrofoam cup. "Here's your courage, dude." The coffee was terrible. It tasted like hope. You know that feeling when you wake up sore, and for a second, you can't tell if it's from something good or bad. That's how my hands felt after that first open mic night, stiff, achy, but humming with purpose. Like they'd finally remembered what they were built for. I started going back to the library every Thursday. Not because I thought I'd become some guitar god at 68, but because that room full of mismatched folding chairs and the smell of burnt coffee grounds felt like the only place I wasn't Helen's ex-husband or Grandpa Jack. I was just the guy with the sunburst Stratocaster, chasing a melody I'd abandoned decades ago. The tattooed kid, turned out his name was Dylan, started saving me a spot by the outlet. "Your amp's older than my dad," he said one night, plugging in my cord. Respect. Funny how a single word from a stranger could straighten your spine. Then Ramona walked in. She was a waitress from the diner down the street, mid-50s with a laugh that could shake loose wallpaper. Her perfume, something spicy like cinnamon, hit me before she did. "You're the reason Earl's selling out of pie on Thursdays," she said, sliding into the chair beside me. "Whole damn retirement home bus isn't here to watch you croak out Neil Young." I bristled. "I don't croak." "Honey, you sound like a bullfrog with a sinus infection." She grinned, all warmth, no bite. "But damn if you don't mean every word." Turns out Ramona sang. Gospel mostly. Her voice was a force of nature, the kind that made you forget your arthritis and remember your soul. We started duetting on Jackson, trading verses like we'd been sparring partners in another life. The crowd ate it up, especially old Mr. Fletcher, who'd shout encore even when we botched the lyrics. Helen called on a Tuesday. I was changing strings when her name popped up on my phone, that same selfie of us at our granddaughter's graduation glaring back. I let it ring. Then, like a fool, I listened to the voicemail. "Jack, it's me. I heard you're playing music again." "At the library." A pause. A sigh. "Just don't embarrass yourself, okay?" The guitar case creaked when I slammed it shut. Ramona found me the next day at Marty's diner, pushing scrambled eggs around my plate. She slid into the booth, her waitress apron still tied over a Grateful Dead t-shirt. "Your ex-wife's a real piece of work. You know that?" I nearly dropped my fork. "How'd you?" Small towns have big ears. She flagged down a busboy for more coffee. "My second husband left me for a woman half his age. Called me stagnant. Now he's got a hairpiece and a timeshare in Boca. Karma's a better songwriter than either of us." I stared at her. "You're not trying to cheer me up, are you?" "God, no." She snorted. "I'm saying let's weaponize your midlife crisis. Write a song so bitter it'll make her regret ever owning a radio." The eggs turned cold. The coffee stayed hot. And for the first time since Helen left, I laughed until my ribs hurt. We started practicing at Ramona's apartment above the diner, her on vocals, me on guitar, and her 16-year-old tabby cat, BB King, yowling backup. She taught me harmonies. I taught her how to curse in Portuguese, thanks to my Navy days. We sounded like a garage band that had survived 3 divorces and a tax audit. It was glorious. Then came the morning my left hand cramped midriff. Fingers locked into a claw, tendons screaming. Ramona found me slumped on her thrift store couch, swearing through clenched teeth. "Happens to every guitarist eventually," she said, pressing a bag of frozen peas into my palm. "Even Clapton." "Clapton didn't have carpal tunnel and a hip replacement," I muttered. She fixed me with that look. "The one that could silence a rowdy trucker at 2 a.m. You gonna quit?" The peas dripped onto my jeans. Somewhere downstairs, a grill sizzled. "Hell no." "Good." She tossed me a tube of icy hot. "Now play it slower." By November, we had a name, the Secondhand Souls. Dylan joined on bass, using his student loans as a stand. Mr. Fletcher's grandson, a TikTok drummer named Kevin, completed the set. Our first gig wasn't some dive bar or VFW hall. It was the county senior center's rockin' bingo night. Half the audience napped through our set. The other half thought we were the Lawrence Welk reunion tour. But when we launched into our original song, Broken Strings and Second Chances, something shifted. Walker's tap time. Oxygen tanks kept rhythm. And in the back, under an exit sign, I swear I saw Helen's navy blue pea coat. But when the lights came up, she was gone. The morning after our senior center gig, I woke to the sound of rain tapping against the window, a steady rhythm that matched the throb in my left hand. The cramp had settled into a dull ache, a reminder that my body wasn't the leather-clad rebel it used to be. But there was a voicemail waiting. "Mr. Cooper? This is Marcy from the Cedar Hill Gazette. We'd love to interview you about, well, your second act." I stared at the phone. Second act. Helen used to say life had 3 acts: youth, family, and decline. Guess she never made it to the encore. Ramona burst into my kitchen 2 hours later, waving a copy of the Gazette's event section. "Look, we're between yoga with goats and the Lions Club pancake breakfast." She stabbed a finger at the tiny blurb. "Local senior band strikes chord with community. Next stop, Madison Square Garden. More like the VFW parking lot." I grumbled, but the corner of my mouth twitched. The photo they'd used, me squinting at my guitar like it owed me money, Ramona mid-laugh, Dylan's bass slung low like a cowboy's rifle, made us look alive. Not bad for a bunch of relics. The interview happened at Marty's diner. Marcy, the reporter, was all of 25, her questions peppered with phrases like aging gracefully and finding purpose. It's not about purpose, I said, stirring creamer into my coffee. It's about showing up, even when your knees creak. Ramona stole a fry from my plate. Speak for yourself. I've got the knees of a 20-year-old. Yeah? Which one? Marcy's recorder caught our laughter. The clatter of plates, B.B. King's tail flicking against the vinyl booth. When the article dropped online that Friday, the headline read, "Local grandfather rocks on. You're never too old to turn up the volume." Helen would have hated it. We booked a real venue, the old Paramount Theater. Its marquee peeling but still proud. The owner, a gruff Vietnam vet named Lou, offered us the stage for a charity benefit. Alzheimer's research, he said, chewing an unlit cigar. My wife's in the thick of it. The weight of that hung between us. Ramona squeezed my shoulder. We'll pack the place, Lou. Rehearsals turned brutal. Kevin's drum solos shook dust from the rafters. Dylan's bass lines thrummed in my feelings. And Ramona, Lord, that woman could belt a high C that'd make angels blush. But my hands kept betraying me. Fingers stiffening. Chords fracturing. One night, after botching blue suede shoes for the 10th time, I hurled my pick across the room. I'm a damn joke. Silence. Then Ramona sat beside me on the edge of the stage, her thigh warm against mine. You know why B.B. King's my cat? She didn't wait for an answer. Because he's got 3 legs and a heart bigger than this town. You think he gives a darn if he can't climb a tree? He just learned to fall better. The house lights hummed. Somewhere, a faucet dripped. I don't know how to fall, I admitted. Then let us catch you. The night of the show, rain sheeted down, turning Main Street into a river. I expected empty seats. Instead, I saw walkers' canes, a sea of silver hair dotted with a few brave grandkids. And in the third row, Mrs. Garza, waving a glow stick. Backstage, Ramona adjusted my tie, a relic from my wedding day, navy silk fraying at the edges. Ready. I glanced at the set list taped to my guitar. Broken Strings and Second Chances was the closer. As I'll ever be. The curtain rose. The spotlight hit like a punch. And then we played. Not perfect. Not polished. But true. When Ramona's voice wrapped around mine in Jackson, the crowd hooped like we were Johnny and June. Halfway through, I spotted Lou in the wings, wiping his eyes. Then, during the final song, I saw her. Helen, standing at the back, her pea coat dark with rain, face unreadable. Our eyes met. The music swelled. And for the first time in decades, I didn't look away. The applause roared like a freight train, but all I heard was the silence between us. Helen stood frozen at the back of the Paramount, her posture rigid as a fence post. For a heartbeat, I wondered if she'd bolt, turn that navy peacoat into a shadow swallowed by the rain. But she didn't. She stayed. And when the house lights flickered on, she vanished like smoke. Backstage, Ramona handed me a towel. Sweat or rain? Both, I said, wiping my neck. My hands still trembled from the high of the performance, or maybe the shock of seeing her. Dylan high-fived Kevin, their laughter bouncing off the cinderblock walls. Dude, we're gonna need a tour bus. A tour bus with handicap parking, Ramona muttered, peeling off her sparkly cowboy boots. Lord, my bunions are singing soprano. I meant to laugh. Instead, I stared at the curtain, half expecting Helen to part it like some specter from my past. She found me outside by the dumpsters, where the scent of stale popcorn and wet asphalt hung thick. You looked different up there, she said, voice steady but her knuckles white around her umbrella handle. I leaned against the brick wall, guitar case digging into my shoulder. Different good or different bad? A shrug. Just different. Rain pinged against the metal dumpster lid. 40 years of marriage, and here we were, strangers trading small talk in an alley. Why'd you come, Helen? She looked away, toward the streetlight's amber halo. Margie from Bridge Club showed me the article. Said you were thriving. The words seemed to surprise her, like she'd bitten into something tart. I thought of all the comebacks I'd rehearsed in the shower. You left. You don't get to care. But the anger had cooled, leaving something quieter. Turns out I'm not too old after all. Her gaze snapped back to me, sharp. I never said you were too old for everything, Jack. Just for us. A car sloshed by, tires hissing. Later, at Marty's diner, Ramona slid into the booth with 2 slices of pecan pie. Spill it. I poked at the crust. She thinks we grew apart. And you think. The truth sat heavy in my throat. I think I stopped trying to grow it all. Ramona nodded, stealing a bite of my pie. Love's like a garden, huh? Gotta water it. Trim the dead bits. Maybe plant some new crap that scares you. Since when are you a poet? Since the third husband. Rest his soul. She winked, but her eyes softened. You gonna be okay? The diner's neon sign buzzed pink against the night. Somewhere, a jukebox played Patsy Cline. Yeah, I said, and meant it. The next morning, Marcy's article went viral. Local grandpa band goes national. Seniors prove it's never too late to rock. Voicemails piled up. Good Morning America, indie record label. Even Ellen's producer. Lute taped a handwritten sign on the Paramount's box office. Sold out again. But the call that mattered came from a 917 area code. Dad. My daughter's voice cracked. Mom forwarded me the article. Why didn't you tell me you were struggling? I watched B.B. King bat a guitar pick across the floor. Didn't know how. A pause. Then softer. Play me something. I cradled the phone and strummed Blackbird. When the last note faded, she whispered, You've still got it. Helen showed up at the next sound check. No pea coat, just a cream sweater I'd bought her for our 30th anniversary. She hovered near the fire exit, hands clasped like she was praying. Ramona nudged me. Want me to chuck a drumstick at her? Play nice, I said, but walked over, heart drumming. Helen spoke first. I'm moving to Phoenix. Gary's there. My brother. The one who never liked her. Why? Sunday golf. The usual deathbed checklist. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. But I wanted to say, the song. The one you wrote? It's good, Jack. Real good. Broken Strings and Second Chances had been my midnight confession, pinned after 2 fingers of bourbon. I never thought she'd hear it. Thanks, I managed. She turned to leave, then stopped. You'll keep playing? Even if this... She waved at the stage, the band, all of it. Yeah, I said. I will. For a heartbeat, I saw the girl in the '78 wedding photo, the one who'd loved me before mortgages and mediocrity. Then she nodded, and the moment passed. That night, we debuted a new song, The Space Between Notes. It's not the chords that make the music. It's the quiet where the pain gets honest. Halfway through, I spotted Helen in the crowd, clapping off beat. But this time, I didn't watch her leave. The thing about fame, it smells like stale beer and fresh paint. 2 weeks after the Paramount show, the Secondhand Souls rolled into Nashville for a live radio gig, crammed in a rented RV that reeked of diesel and Dylan's vape pen. Lou rode shotgun, navigating with a folded map and a grunt. Should have bought stock in Advil, he muttered as we hit another pothole. Ramona elbowed me, her hair tucked under a bandana like Rosie the Riveter. Look alive, Cooper. You're on in 20. The studio was smaller than my garage, eggshell foam padding the walls like a psych ward. But when the red light blinked on and the host, a slick-haired cowboy named Chip, asked, What's it feel like to blow up at 68? I didn't hesitate. Like a heart attack, I said, but with better merch. The room erupted. Chip nearly dropped his coffee. And just like that, our soundbite went viral. Back home, the mayor gave us a key to the city. Plastic, probably from Amazon. But the crowd at the ceremony? Real. Mrs. Garza. Marty from the diner. Even Kevin's TikTok fans, holding signs that read, Drummer Grandpa for President. Helen didn't come. I told myself I didn't care. Then came the call from Late Night with Seth Meyers. They want us next Thursday, Dylan said, pacing my living room, phone glowing like a holy relic. We'll play Broken Strings, do a bit with the house band, they'll fly us first class. Ramona froze mid-sip of her sweet tea. First class? Honey, I haven't even flown coach since Y2K. My hands betrayed me then, a tremor so bad my pick clattered to the floor. Jack. Dylan frowned. You good. Peachy. I forced a grin. Just need some air. The porch swing creaked under me. June fireflies dotted the yard, lazy as old thoughts. I dreamed of this once, back when my Stratocaster was new and my hair was brown. Now the dream was here, and all I felt was terrified. Ramona found me at 3 a.m., sitting cross-legged on her diner's counter, sharing a stale donut with BB King. Can't sleep. Can't breathe, I admitted. She hoisted herself up beside me, bare feet dangling. Remember my first husband? Ran off with a clown. Literally. Circus performer. I choked on my cruller. You're kidding. Swear on BB's remaining legs. She licked powdered sugar off her thumb. Point is, life's a rodeo. Sometimes you ride the bull. Sometimes you're the clown. The streetlight outside flickered. Somewhere a truck downshifted. What if I'm not enough? The question slipped out, raw and small. Ramona leaned her head on my shoulder. You're more than enough. But if you bail now, I'll tell everyone you're scared of Seth Meyers. We laughed until the donuts were gone. New York was a gut punch of noise and neon. Green room snacks I couldn't pronounce. A makeup artist named Zane who contoured my jawline. Gotta hide those jowls, Pops. Then Seth himself, all dimples and dad energy, shaking my hand. My granddad loved your Neil Young cover. The curtain rose. The studio audience was a blur of teeth and iPhone flashes. But when I hit the first chord of Broken Strings, the world shrank to four things. My guitar, Ramona's voice, Dylan's bass line, Kevin's steady backbeat. We weren't perfect. We were alive. Afterward, as crew members dismantled the set, the stagehand handed me a note. Jack, watch tonight. You shone. Ash. Ramona peered over my shoulder. You gonna call her? I folded the note into a tiny square, tucked it into my pickpocket. Nah. Good. She squeezed my arm. Forward's the only direction that matters. But life, like any good song, thrives on bridges. 3 days later, I stood in a Phoenix hospice, holding Gary's hand. My brother's skin was paper, his breath shallow. Jackie, he wheezed, eyes milky with cancer. Heard your song. Proud of you, kid. I swallowed the lump in my throat. Should have come sooner. You're here now. Helen stood in the doorway, her face a storm of emotions. When Gary finally slept, she followed me into the hall. Thank you, she whispered. For what? For showing me, she gestured vaguely, rings catching the fluorescence. That it's never too late. I thought of the note, the unspoken years, the miles between us. You could have shown up too, Helen. Her smile was sad. Some of us aren't as brave. On the flight home, I wrote a new song. The harmony of broken things. The beauty that the cracks let in. Ramona snored softly in the window seat. Somewhere over Kansas, I finally slept. The encore isn't the last song. It's the one you didn't know you had in you. 6 months after Gary's funeral, the Secondhand Souls headlined a charity festival in Central Park. 10,000 people spread across the Great Lawn. Grandparents, teens, toddlers with noise-canceling headphones. The sky was the kind of blue you only see in postcards. Backstage, Ramona adjusted my tie, same frayed navy one from the Paramount. Still ugly, she said. But it's tradition. Dylan tuned his bass, fingers steady despite the tremor in his voice. What if I puke mid-solo? We'll sample it, Kevin said, grinning. Call it drum and barfcore. We laughed, but I saw it, the fear in their eyes. The fear of being enough. I clapped Dylan's shoulder. Just play like nobody's listening. And if they are listening, then God help him. The stage lights hit like a solar flare. My Stratocaster felt lighter, older, wiser. We opened with the space between notes, Ramona's voice weaving through the chords like smoke. Halfway through, I spotted familiar faces, Mrs. Garza waving a Secondhand Souls banner, Lou balling into a handkerchief, even Zane the makeup artist holding a sign that read Contour King. But when we launched into Broken Strings and Second Chances, something shifted. The crowd sang along. You said the fire had turned to ash, but embers glow beneath the past. 10,000 voices, raw and real, rising into the September sky. I closed my eyes and let the sound wash over me. This was the encore. After the set, a kid maybe 19 approached the merch tent, clutching a vinyl copy of our album. His hands shook. My grandpa, he had your record. Said you made him feel less alone. Ramona signed the sleeve. What's his name? Frank. He, passed last year. She drew a small heart next to her signature. Now he's our roadie in the sky. The kid hugged the record like a life preserver. That night, back at the RV, Ramona uncorked a bottle of cheap champagne. To Frank. To Gary. To all the ghosts who keep the beat, we drank. It tasted like hope and hangovers. Dylan scrolled his phone, eyes widening. We're trending. Again. Kevin peered over his shoulder. Someone called us. The Gen Z whispers. Better than the geriatric strokes, Ramona said. I slipped outside, needing air. Central Park hummed with distant traffic, the occasional laugh echoing from a passing bike. I pulled out Helen's note, you shone, and let the breeze take it. 3 days later, I sat on my porch, nursing coffee and a new song. Uncle, the song after the end. The stranger who becomes the friend. A car door slammed. Ramona trudged up the driveway, B.B. King's carrier in one hand, a suitcase in the other. Lou's closing the Paramount for renovations. Figured I'd crash here till he's done. I raised an eyebrow. How long's that take? Depends. She set the cat carrier down. How long you need a rhythm section? B.B. King me out, scratching at the latch. I sipped my coffee. Hid a smile. There's a spare key under the frog. She kicked the garden gnome by the steps, fishing out the key. You're a cliché, Cooper. Takes one to know one. That fall, we turned my garage into a studio. Dylan and Kevin came by Fridays. Neighborhood kids lingered at the open door, wide-eyed as we butchered Taylor Swift covers. Mrs. Garza brought tamales. Lou mailed set lists for his road trip to the Grand Canyon. And Helen, she sends postcards. Phoenix sunsets. Golf courses. A cactus wearing a tiny sombrero. No return address. No apologies. Just, saw your SNL clip. Still hate talk shows. Osh. I pinned them to the garage wall, edges curling in the humidity. Last week, a producer called. We want to make a movie about your life. Bradley Cooper's interested. Ramona snorted. Bradley's too pretty. Get that grumpy old man guy. I hung up. Some stories aren't meant for Hollywood. Tonight, the garage is packed. Neon Christmas lights drip from the rafters. A crock pot of chili bubbles in the corner. And somewhere between Jingle Bell Rock and our new song Encore, I catch a glimpse of it, the life I almost missed. Ramona's laugh, loud enough to shake the mistletoe. Dylan teaching Mrs. Garza's grandson a power chord. Kevin proposing to his girlfriend mid-drum solo, she said yes. And me, fingers steady at last, playing not for pride or payback, but because the music's still there. Because I'm still here.